Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. Now I've always been curious about battery nut pliers or battery terminal pliers. They're kind of this design here, unique sort of parrot beak shape jaws that are parallel at about anywhere from half, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. This particular one is a snap-on, and it has a slip joint so you can make it fit larger or smaller terminals. But if I line these up parallel about like that and then throw them onto something, you can see it's about 3/4 of an inch for this one. And then if I go the larger size and then make them with the jaws parallel, this one is upwards of 1 inch, pretty close. But I've tried a bunch of different ones, tried them on battery terminals, which basically, is some pinch closure like this, but often it sits flush, up against the top of the battery, so you just have this little bit to work with right here. But as I tried different ones, I found this one seemed to be the best. And it's a USA made Bluebird 25. The only thing I remember with Bluebird was school buses. I don't know, maybe that's from what it is. But what I ended up realizing is that there is, from the battery terminal pliers I explored, there wasn't really a standard. You can see these jaws, they're a little narrower. They also have a little pinch down at the bottom, which can be great for grabbing wires and things. But if you look at that size, and I throw it up on the tape measure here, you can see this is less. It's about 5/8 when this is parallel. Here is kind of a vintage Husky made in USA. This particular plier, really silky smooth. This is so nice. You know how I like the smooth pliers there. If I make this one parallel, it's out to about there, because this is a very small head on this. What's this one? This is pretty big. Looks like it's about a little over 3/4. I don't know what that is. 7/8 maybe, something like that. But when I compare these and I'm trying to grab stuff, you can see why this jaw design comes into play. Do it this way. So if you're trying to grab these, you can see, especially if it's flush, that I've got to be able to rotate this. But the problem with rotating something, with not much clearance and trying to grab it, can create a problem. And this is also a 6-sided nut. It's a hex nut versus a square nut like this, which is more common, or not more common, but common on battery terminals. So you really have to go almost 90 degrees. Well, what I found is most of these don't work that well. I also noticed if you look at the handle angles, they're different. So if I run this out to parallel, right about there, and then run this one out to parallel, and then line those up, you can see that the angles of the handles here are quite a bit different. If I add the snap-on to the mix, try it about like that, and then line it up as well. It's kind of in between. So the snap-on's between the Bluebird and the Husky. I compare that to a parallel jaw Knipex plier wrench. This one, of course, can be parallel all kinds of different directions, but you can see it's quite a ways off then. There's a channel lock, quite a ways off, not bad, but off, meaning at a different angle. So if I line that up, it's also sticking off to the side. And then I thought this might work as a terminal plier. It doesn't work at all for that. But if you look, that one's about 90 degrees off of what these are. This one doesn't work because you can't really grab the terminal very well. Or I mean the bolt. You see that? Right there. The way it hits down into the ground, very difficult to grab, and you can't go very small with this thing. That's as small as it goes. It's designed to go larger, not smaller. But anyway, I played around trying different things, and I found that this jaw here just seemed to be the most useful, assuming you can't get something else, and that's because it's very narrow in here. It's got about the right spacing for traditional automotive battery terminals. I imagine trucks or something must have much larger ones, given the snap-on goes bigger. And as I rotate this, I can still slide this lower jaw under and grab it and keep working. Whereas some of these others with larger jaws, it's a little harder to get them under. Let me spin this back and do that. Oops, see, as you can see, trying to even spin it backwards. They seem to be directional too. But trying to grab it, it just barely grabs the nut. And even there, you can see I'm having a little trouble grabbing it. I have to move out and spin it further. But the Bluebird works, you know, really well for that. And then the snap-on was the least effective when I tried it in real life. You know, I'm just pinching the very end of the fastener, and I have to go as far as I can. So if you start running out of juice, I'm really not using the jaws. I'm way up here at this tip part that doesn't have any grip. That's what I'm grabbing with. You can see, in order to get that, I'm not able to get down into the jaws, whereas even the Bluebird gives me some grip all the way up to the end. But what I did find out is that especially these Huskies are excellent at popping open something like this. It's non-alcoholic. Don't worry, I'm not promoting alcohol on the channel. Non-alcoholic drink here. These used to be my favorites for opening things like this, so I'd grab the end just like this, you know, and just twist. It was a lot of fun. But I discovered that these are actually really good. Way better than any other battery terminal battery nut pliers I have. The way these just grab on, you can see, I'll do a side view here. They just grab on and pop it right off, just like that. So, with that, Doc out.